Welcome. This is the first live episode of If It Was a Book. This is the podcast where we take a real story that happened to either myself, my guest, or one of you, listeners and or watchers, depending on how you're viewing this, and we turn it into what would happen if it was a book. I am your host, Ashley. You may know me from TikTok's 130 Books in 130 Days, or from your local library, depending on where you're tuning in from. And then Gabby, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Gabriella Gamez, but you can call me Gabby. I am the author of The Next Best Fling and the forthcoming Kiss Me Maybe, which is my Librarians in Love series. So this is very fortuitous that we are here together, librarian, past librarian.
Yes. Oh my God. I love books that are about me, and both of them are. So this one is a librarian who it's a sports romance. So Next Best Fling is a librarian who falls in love with an ex-NFL player, and then they like both grow and learn together. Loved this one. It is fake dating, also one that I'm obsessed with. And then we have your newest book, Kiss Me Maybe, which comes out
May 6th.
May 6th. I've already read it, so I'm like, it's already out. It's in my Kindle right now.
No, I'm the same way. Like, I always forget release dates, even for like books I love. And then I'm like, wait a minute, that one just came out and I didn't say anything. Oh no.
So Kiss Me Maybe comes out May 6th. And this one is a sapphic love story, and we have an asexual main character, and it takes place in Texas, so I'm obsessed. It takes place in a city that I have lived before, and that is not always well done, and you did it very well.
Thank you.
I have read books that take place in, like, my hometown that I'm like... Or I read a book that took place in Georgetown, Texas once, which is right outside of Austin. Right outside of Austin. Like, it's very close to Austin. However, she got off the bus in downtown Austin and walked to Georgetown that day.
Oh no. I mean, first of all, walking anywhere in Texas, that's like a no, first of all. But
it was also the summer.
Yeah, like you're gonna die, girl. Dehydration.
Dehydration, and also just like it's like 40 miles to
like that's a little intense.
Okay.
That's a choice.
So it's sometimes I can't read books that take place in places that I've lived because I just know the area, and so I'm like, this is not
like you're too close.
Close. But this one I think that you did very well. It's very clear that you're familiar with the city. So you used to be a librarian. How long were you a librarian? What like area of library science did you work in?
Okay, so I started out as a library aide. So this was maybe like a year after I had graduated college. I just moved back home with my parents. My mom had some health stuff, so it was just kind of also like trying to figure out my life and things like that. And it was like, okay, I just got this position as a library aide. It's going to be very cool. It's part-time. I can write and decide and like try to like pursue my dreams. And then the pandemic happened. Literally the day we worked one day in person, and then I got home, and then my branch manager called and was like, so we're closing the library. And I was kind of like, do I still have a job?
Valid.
Yeah, just like, I mean, that was my first day, and it was like, oh, now the library's closing. So it was very weird for a while. So it was kind of just figuring out, like, what is my job description? Because now that, like, the library's closed, like, we don't have much for you to do, but we have to still, like, make up some stuff for you to do. Right. It was very funny. So, like, one of the jobs that they gave me was to put labels on all of the DVDs in the kids section. And then a year later, I think my branch manager like said, whose idea was it to put all of those labels on those DVDs? That was terrible. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was me. Someone told me to do that.
It wasn't your idea. You just did.
No, yeah, I'm just doing what I'm told, you know, like a good little worker. But now I'm like, oh, so that was bad? Cool, sorry. Yeah, so I worked there for about like maybe like a year and a half. Maybe close to 2 years. We eventually like opened back up, and then I became a library assistant, and then somewhere around there is when I got my book deal for The Next Best Fling. Yeah.
In person. Here we are.
Yes, which funnily enough, when I was first writing that book, she was not a librarian. I was still trying to figure out what I wanted her to do for her job. And then while I was working there, I just decided, why not make her a librarian? It's like literally right there. And so I did that.
I love it. I love any book that's about me. And so anything where I can be like, actually, that's about me. So she's a librarian, so it's about me because I'm a librarian.
Yes.
And then in your new book, she's on the ACE spectrum. I was like, oh my God, that's about me.
It's about me too.
I love it. It's about me.
I just write to amuse myself. This is about me.
No, exactly. Oh my God, I love I love. Something I was not expecting from, because I get to read it early. Something I was not expecting from a book where it's very important that our main character is on the ace spectrum is that we do still have sex scenes, and they're like fun sex scenes. Like I wasn't expecting. I was like, oh, it's not just like, and then they had sex. It's like,
No, yeah. See, that's the thing about like being on the A spectrum is like there's very like it's a spectrum, you know?
yeah,
Like there's that one side that's like, yes, sex is like ew, gross. And I'm like, I understand that at like only to like a certain extent, but like there's also like the other side where it's like sex is an idea, it's not necessarily something you do. And I think that's more where I land on that spectrum. But there are also like again, like the other end where it's like, yeah, we have sex, but it's just that we're not sexually attracted to people, or it's like takes a little extra work to get there.
yeah.
So again, like it's a wide, varied spectrum. So just because someone is asexual does not mean that they do not have sex.
And then I would love for you to tell me a story that we can rewrite.
Yes. Okay, so since we are both or both have worked in libraries, very on theme for also for librarians in love, I will tell you the story of the time I stayed overnight at the Central Library during the Texas winter freeze. Yes, so our house just lost power, as many people lost power during that freeze, and it was a very hellish time. But we're gonna make this story fun.
Okay, word.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we lost power, I think it was maybe like the fourth day when my boss called and was like, "Hey, I'm a little worried about you. I'm gonna see if we can have your family stay at the library downtown." And like it's usually like a warming center for anyone who needs one. And they were like, "Okay, but because you work for the CCPL, we'll make sure that, you know, you and your family like have that privacy. We'll close it down, like so it's just for y'all. Because we want you to be safe and we don't want you to, you know, like freeze to death because we don't know what's going on or when we're actually like gonna get our power back, right?" So I was like, okay, like thank you because we were having a bad time. So we ended up staying overnight at the Central Library, which I feel like that's just like a very cool story. Like I stayed overnight at the library. I got to hang out with all the books and watch Netflix on the projector in the conference room. And it was a whole thing. It was very cool. And then the next morning, I guess nobody had told the police that we were there. So they ended up coming and were like, "Are you supposed to be here?" And so we had to call the library director and be like, "Yeah, like we're allowed to be here. Like they let us stay and like blah blah blah, let us out. Like let's not let this become a problem." And so like yeah, that ended up being fine. And then literally we went back home and then maybe within the hour we finally got power back and it was great and lovely. And now I have this cool story.
Love. That's great. Yeah, I feel like there are a lot of ways that that could go. Have you read Taking Initiative?
I have not.
Okay, so it is also a book about a librarian, but it's a dude librarian.
Okay.
And his branch is failing.
Oh, okay.
I get it. His branch manager is like, we need to have more. I think he's like gunning for a full-time position. I think he's part-time right now.
Okay.
And he's trying to like prove his worth. And so his branch manager suggests that he starts a D&D group. And so then the love interest is a girl who like used to run D&D campaigns, but then like her ex was all like, you like this weird Dungeons and Dragons stuff, and so she's like very, oh no, that's embarrassing and weird.
Yeah.
But she helps him start the campaign, and this community really likes it. But anyway, there's a part where they get stuck in the basement of the library during a tornado.
Dang. Okay, see, that's very like close, like adjacent to like yeah, stuck at the library. So 'cause I was thinking like snowed in. 'Cause I mean like the freeze, like it wasn't technically like a snowed in. It was just we have lost power and we have nowhere to go. Snowed in sounds more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can do snowed in. I think that that's fun. Yeah. So in somewhere that's either North Texas or not Texas.
Yeah. Oh, well, honestly, you just get one weird kind of freeze, and then who knows? Maybe we'll start getting more inches of snow in Texas because climate change is wild.
There was snow in Austin. I lived in Austin during that time, and
Uh-huh.
there was snow. My dog experienced snow. He did not like it. I was actually between apartments at that time, but where like I had two apartments, and I was like slowly moving things.
Oh,
So you put like a week between your lease and your new lease
Mhm.
starting, so you don't have to move everything at once. So I was doing that, and I was in the brand new apartment, just me and my dog Shoelace. The cushions of the couch, not the couch, because I couldn't move that by myself. But
Yeah.
I could move the cushions, a duffel bag, and my new apartment was right next to an HEB. Nice. But it lost power, and so me and the dog and the duffel bag of clothes are in a walk-in closet, and that's like where we're staying to like retain heat. And
Mhm.
Shoelace does not enjoy that. He's like, I want to go run around
Yeah.
the apartment. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I get it. We're gonna die.
So you don't get it, but
Right. The apartment, and I stick it out for like 2 days, I think. No power. The apartment's like 40 degrees. It's like not good.
yeah.
And then I'm finally like, you know what? The old apartment has gas because it had a gas oven.
hmm
And I was like, at the very least, we can warm the apartment with the gas oven.
Yeah.
So I take my dog and we get in my car and go at like 2 miles an hour to the old apartment because it's so icy and scary. Especially like anytime you're going under an overpass, all of that ice hasn't
yeah.
melted at all.
That's
So we get there and I can't get into the old complex because it's like up a hill and the car can't make it up.
Oh no.
So I like go and park at this nearby shopping center, and there's a cop there, and I'm like, hey, there's like a lot of towing signs. Are y'all gonna tow me? And he's like, no. There's like a natural disaster happening.
It's like I still have to share. He's like, no, y'all pull some shit sometimes.
I don't want to come out of this natural disaster sans car. Me and my dog walk up to the apartment and we get inside. It has power. It has power. It has water. It is literally functioning completely fine. Like I have Wi-Fi still.
It is a miracle.
And I was like, I can't believe I was in that other apartment for 2 days.
Oh, and you didn't even know.
You know, it's all toasty.
Oh.
It was an adventure. But yeah, so snowed in.
Yes. We can say snowed in. I was thinking maybe like romance, of course. And we have maybe like two people who are kind of like gunning for the same position in the library. And then they get snowed in and they're like, okay, this is how we make peace because we have no escape. And if we're just constantly fighting and bickering like we usually are, then we're just both going to end up dead at the end of this snowstorm, right?
Yeah. So I think that it would be fun to bring in, because most libraries are warming centers, that like maybe some of the community is also there. Instead of it just being like you and your family, it's gonna be like the whole gang. And
Yeah.
like fun little side characters from the community.
Yeah.
And then like pets and stuff. Your warming centers will usually take your pets as well. They just have to be like on leash or in a crate. And you don't have to have that in some places. My library, when we are a warming center, the city like provides crates and like dog food and like litter.
That's
and they're
awesome.
like, because we don't want anyone to get bit, but we want to make sure that your animals are safe. And
Yeah.
So warming centers. When in doubt.
When in doubt.
Don't leave your animals behind. So I think that that would be fun, and then it would kind of introduce more like stuff.
Yeah.
So let's name some characters. Who are our characters? Who are our love interests? What are we doing?
Okay, so let's see. I'm like, do we want to make this sapphic?
Sure.
Let's make it sapphic.
Okay.
Okay. So we will have main character number 1.
Main character 1.
We will call her Sally. Because that's the first
Sapphic
name.
Sally.
Yeah, Sapphic Sally. That's the first name that popped into my head.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to name the other one?
Sure. Main character 2. She's gonna be. Oh, see, now my first thought was Sophia, but I don't. The two S names get confusing. I'm not gonna do double S names again.
No, I get that.
I did double J names in another episode. It was not fun. Maybe I like thinking of people that I work with at the library.
Calling someone out.
Yeah, sure. Let's put Vans in. Oh, let's see. The second person is Vans, short for Savannah. But it's not a not a double S name because they go by Van.
Yeah. Okay. So, there we go.
We're all chill there. Okay. But this is a different person. Legally separate from the person that I know, and also they moved away. But I do one of my childhood friends and bridesmaid was also Savannah. But there's a short S, Savvy, which would double S. And that's not helpful.
That is cute, but also
So we'll go with Van. Van, how do I want to build Van? I think that Van should be, I'm gonna put Van as a teen librarian. She'll be like me. Teen librarian, which means that she's like fun.
Yes, so the teen librarians are very fun.
But also like patient, but not patient enough to be a children's librarian. I'm gonna say Sally's our children's librarian.
Yes. You do have to have patience.
I cannot.
No, some of those story times where the kids are just like yelling and I'm like, I'm trying to tell a story, you guys.
Did you go to sleep? The branch manager at that library was like, you have to do story times as part of
Mhm.
it because you need to get comfortable with it. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's scary. And she was like, you have to. And she was right. Like that
Yeah. Yeah.
programming is always going to be helpful getting a job. Library jobs are hard to
Mhm.
get. Children's librarian, not for me, but I can do teens, I can do adults. Oh, that would. Well, I already made Vance the teen. I was like, it would also make sense for her to be an adult librarian because I think there's a lot of clash between adult and children's librarians.
Oh yeah, I could tell you
So
stories.
so it could be very like enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make Vans an adult librarian.
Okay.
Adult. Okay. So Van is an adult librarian. I want to say, do like art programs and book clubs and things that adult librarians do. And then I'm gonna say that Sally is a little bit more like free spirited, a little bit more like go with the flow.
Goosey goosey.
Like patient as children's librarians must be.
Yes.
Could not be me. So maybe they are having a lot of animosity towards using programming space because it's like a smaller branch. But they both have like big programming ideas.
Yeah.
And then Sally's like, well, obviously we need to do it for children's librarians.
But think of the kids.
Exactly. Think of the children. And that's like how you get funding. And so there's like a lot more push for the children's librarian to get the programming spaces during these times. But our adult librarian is like, right, but like who's paying taxes?
Yeah. Like, the adults need the space too.
Right. Adults need a space. The seniors need things to do. You can't have like all of the daytime stuff. Like, although we do have adult programming after work, like there are also adults that need stuff to do, not during 9 to 5.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So those are our setups. I'm gonna say that they were working late and then a cold front blew in and they were not expecting to be the warming center or to be snowed in.
Yes, like maybe they were planning that for like the day after or like sometime, but you know, weather likes to do what weather does.
Right.
And just mess up everybody's plans. And it's like, hey, y'all are stuck now.
Yes. But a good prepared library is going to have like the emergency water. We're going to have like different things that we need, especially if we were already preparing for it to be a couple days later storm. So we don't have all of our provisions, we have some of our provisions.
Yes.
So Sally and Vans stay the night by themselves the first night because they aren't expecting to be snowed in. They weren't expecting to become the warming center. They wake up in the morning, they still can't get out, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna have to be the warming center. We're gonna have to take charge of this. I'm gonna say that there's like not a lot of phone signal. Maybe a little bit just to like talk to the branch manager and be like, hey.
Yeah, like this is what's going on.
Yeah. She's like, well, I can't leave my house. It's like iced over. So y'all are gonna have to
like you're on your own.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to make peace because I know y'all are at each other's throats right now. Don't do that. Don't do that in front of other people.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that a cute scene would be Sally is like busy doing something. Maybe someone like threw up. I don't know. Something's happening. And
There's a little emergency somewhere.
Sally is occupied, and Van is gonna have to like take over, hanging out with some of the children.
Oh,
Right.
That's cute. That's cute. I love that.
So we're gonna see like a softer side of Van. And I think gonna start to understand that like you can't be super type A as a children's librarian. Like you're gonna have to sort of go with the flow. Even if you have a plan, things are gonna go off the rails.
Yeah, gotta loosen the reins a little bit.
So I just want that scene somewhere.
Yeah, maybe maybe Vans could be doing the children's story time to try to like occupy because you know like the kids like in the store maybe like they're crying, they're scared, they don't know what's going on, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna read you a story, and she's like very like awkward.
Oh yeah, like monotone, just like And then Sally shook Jeff's hand.
Yeah, and then kids are like, this is boring.
So I think that maybe the kids should like give direction, and then Van is gonna like take that direction. So the kids are gonna be like, no, you need a better monster voice. He tries a monster voice, and they're like, no, deeper, or like, no, more squishy, or whatever they want the voice to be. And then Van is gonna like work on that. And I think that Sally needs to like, after a while, overhear and come like to rescue Van, but then notice that like Van is okay, and like the kids are entertained and seeing the softer side of Van.
Yeah, it's like, oh, maybe she's different than how I first thought.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. So, what do we want to do the first night? So Sally and Van are alone in the library. There's no power, but they can't leave because like their cars are snowed in. Icy roads.
Let's see. My first thought is like they've been at each other's throats for like a while now. Maybe they have like their coworkers like during that time were like, maybe y'all just need to like bang it out, but like jokingly. And then they're there by themselves that first night. Maybe they take it a little too seriously and like, maybe we just do need to bang it out.
I think that we can definitely like set the seeds that like
Okay.
maybe someone's gonna make a comment about it and be like,
Okay.
maybe Jim's
And
right.
like they're
We do
thinking
need
about it.
to- Yeah.
So they don't do it yet, but they're thinking about it. Like maybe like they're feeling the tension. That's like the first time they start to actually like feel the tension versus like all of the hate. And then
Yes.
they're thinking maybe there is something to that. I definitely don't like them
Yeah.
as a person, but
But they're not unattractive.
yeah, like I'm noticing some things about them.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So I'm changing slightly. It's not that there's a power outage at the library, although there was. I'm gonna say the library has a generator because how else could they be the warming center if it's too cold?
True. Oh
If
yeah.
we're gonna bring in the other community members, it needs to be a warming center, so we're having a generator, so we have power. Probably not a lot of phone signal, but also like you can't leave because it's too icy.
Yeah, that too icy for the roads.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Okay, word. So we have that first night. I think that maybe Sally is like scared.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that Sally is scared and that Van is going to like try to make her feel better by setting up the movie. She's gonna set
Okay.
up the projectors, set up the movie, like pull in bean bags from the kids' area or whatever.
Like get your mind off of like the storm and everything that's going on outside.
So just to like start the little like getting together vibes.
Okay.
Where do you start when you are writing a book?
I think maybe if there's just like a scene in my brain, it's usually like conversations. Like they'll start like in my head and then I'm like, okay, I think I have like this character's voice. And then I'll kind of just start. Honestly, like sometimes my first chapters or my first scenes, I end up changing like way later in the process. So it's like I try as much as I try to go in order, sometimes things just inevitably change and then
Yeah.
I go back and I'm like, okay, we can make that better. We can scratch that entirely.
That's fine. I agree, and I've noticed that with some of the books that I've been writing. On
You are
the
right.
I am verbalizing. Some of the books that I've been verbalizing on the podcast will start in one way and then like completely change by the end.
Mm.
And I like that. I think that it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, like that's all part of the process, you know. It's like you never know where the story is like until maybe like halfway, and then you're like, we go back and we
We gotta
change
go
these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that that would be good. So we've had our cute little moment with the projector in the movie, and maybe I want to change that. Maybe I want Sally to bring out the projector in the movie and be like, "This is how you calm children down." But and then like
Van
kind
is the
of
one that's scared.
scared as like a juxtaposition.
Yeah.
And so I think that Van can be scared, and then Sally brings out the movie, and I think that maybe we use that later after she tells the story and after she does all the things with the kids that she'll like put on the movie and be like kind of like how Sally taught her
Yeah.
like when tensions are high later, putting on
Okay.
the movie is gonna help.
Yeah.
And it will calm down. Oh.
There we go.
So I think that in a fun way, there should be an animal on the loose. It can't
Oh,
be
okay.
a normal animal like a cat or a dog, or it could be like a weird adventurous animal.
Let's do weird adventurous.
Okay, you want like a snake or a rabbit or someone's pet rat? Like, what do you want?
Let's do someone's pet rabbit. That's cute.
Pet rabbit? Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a cutie little rabbit.
Loose.
Rabbit on the loose in the library. So I think that like it should come in the arms of a child at some point. That's like that's their animal. And maybe this library, because it was not planning to be the warming center yet, was not prepared for that, and so they don't have the crates yet. Like the crates were being delivered tomorrow or whatever.
Okay.
So the animals are kind of just out and about.
Loosey. They're like, keep an eye on your animals
Right.
before they run off, and then oops, they ran off.
Right, and it's an animal that doesn't have like a leash, so it's a little bit harder than just like, oh yeah, you've got the dog's leash, and so the dog is like next to you. The rabbit can like wander away, especially if like a child is taking care of it.
Oh, for sure.
That they're like distracted.
They're like, oops, where did Bunny go?
Yeah, so I think that like several times throughout the book there should be a like, okay, Jackson, where is Mr. Snuffles or whatever
There's
the animal
Mr.
is
Snuffles. Oh no.
I think that that would be like good comedic relief throughout the book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how do you think that Van and Sally should get together?
Is it like maybe like the rabbit gets lost somewhere dangerous and then they have to team up together to find the rabbit, and then I was going somewhere and then I stopped.
That's okay. It's like in the HVAC or like where is it?
I'm like, oh, in the HVAC. I'm like, did it get outside? But that might be a little too dangerous.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
it's so cold.
or like the basement.
Ooh.
Lost in the basement. Like the basement's like very cluttered and everything. And then Vans was the one scared of the storm, right?
Right.
Yeah, so she's like, okay, now we're in the basement in the dark, and then sounds from outside are happening. And I'm like, this is even scarier. And then now Sally is like, it'll be okay. We're trying to find this rabbit, but we're also trying to like calm you down.
Just imagining a basement. Like, we don't have those here.
I know. I was thinking that too. It was like, wait, you can hear sounds from outside, but aren't they like below ground? Like maybe
Oh,
it's not.
basement works. I like the basement. I think that that's good.
Okay.
And I've read a lot of books where there are like fun things in the library basement, like a library of borrowed hearts. That one has she like finds a book in the basement that has like annotations, and then like finds those people that were like writing love notes to each other throughout the annotations.
That's
Great book.
fun.
Anything where there's a librarian involved, I'm like, so I'm reading this. It's about me.
Yes, we love a librarian.
So let's see. Yeah, they're down in the basement. Maybe, okay. So I think we're gonna do like a very cinematic moment where Mr. Snuffles, is that the rabbit's name?
Okay, Mr. Snuffles.
Mr.
Yes.
Snuffles is like behind a shelf or something.
Right.
Sally, who's very gung-ho and very like not thinking things through, not
Mm.
planning too much, is like going after it. She's
trying
like,
to pass.
right, we're
Yeah.
gonna get it. And accidentally bumps into the shelf a little bit, and then the books are gonna start falling. So I think that Van is gonna like
Protect her. Yes, yes, we love a heroic moment.
And so I'm gonna say that Sally got the rabbit. So
Okay.
she's got it, and then she looks up, and Van is
I got you, girl.
exactly.
Yes. Okay.
And so I think that that's going to be like a moment, and they're going to be like staring into each other's eyes. Soft music plays in the background. And then I think somebody who's like a patron is going to like knock on the door or come in or something like
Not interrupting the moment.
right. They're going to interrupt the moment because they are either like helping Jackson look for Mr. Snuffles, or they're like looking for the people in charge because something crazy is happening out there.
Yes,
And they're like, we need an adult. I know that there are other adults, but we need an adult who works here
yeah.
upstairs right now.
We need another adult.
Yes. I'm actually thinking if it's snowing, wouldn't the basement be the warmest place? But I guess we have a generator, the air conditioner's working. or the
Okay.
heater.
Yeah, and then also like that's where like usually like storage and
Mhm.
stuff is, so it's like there's not like a whole lot of room. But it is an emergency if someone gets lost down there or rabbits get lost down there.
That's right. It's also a tornado shelter.
Yes.
If there are tornadoes. Okay, so Mr. Snuffles is saved for like the third time in the book. I assume that it's happening a lot.
Yeah.
So Mr. Snuffles is saved. Maybe we're like winding down for the evening. I'm gonna
Okay.
say that we're like snowed in for like a few days. It's gonna be
Okay.
like an experience. So we're winding down for the evening. I'm gonna say that Sally's gonna put on the movie again this time. Because at the end, I think Van is gonna do it as like a if we all come full circle kind of moment.
Yeah.
So I think that Sally's gonna put on a movie and then maybe like make popcorn or maybe just like warm up some tea or whatever for everybody to like start calming down for the night and be like,
Mhm.
okay, find your places and get your sleeping bags ready. I think they're gonna be like going around to each group and being like, is everything okay? Do you need anything? And then they'll like meet in the middle at the end and be like, so what are we doing?
Yeah, it's like there was maybe a moment back there.
Mhm.
Maybe they're trying to like even like internally trying to like decide like what that moment meant to them, if it meant anything, and then also worrying what did the other person think,
Mhm.
like is this all just in my head? And they're kind of like in that muddy space of like things have definitely changed, but I don't know how far they've changed yet, type of a thing.
Okay, we need more moments of them like having feelings for each other
Yes.
as we're getting there. What do you think?
They definitely do. I'm like, when does the first kiss happen? Because that was like their
The last chapter of the
but they do everything else.
well, you have to complete a scavenger hunt in order to win
Exactly. Yeah, it's like that's gonna mess up the flow. So it's the no kissing rule till the end. That doesn't usually happen in a whole lot of romances unless there is a no kissing rule, which I love a no kissing rule.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I mean, as you can tell,
Yes.
like probably.
Everything else is okay, but no kissing. Let's see. Maybe we could do like a cute cooking scene where like the community's gonna cook together, like just have like an activity to do something. But maybe maybe Van is a good cook and good at like survival things where there's
okay.
like not a lot of power because like we're on a generator, we're not like running a lot,
Yeah.
we're not running an oven or like a hot plate.
What is this, a restaurant now?
So maybe they will pool their resources and do some like programming type things where they're like, okay, so we have these terracotta pots, and if you put candles under the terracotta pot, you can make a makeshift oven, and then we put the thing on top.
That's like almost like camping.
Right,
Yeah. Okay.
right.
Cool. Okay.
So they're doing that like in the middle, and then they're like having the different patrons who are like in the library assist. So they're like, okay, this family, you're in charge of chopping up these vegetables. This family, you're in charge of finding the celery. I don't know, cooking.
They're doing stuff.
Yeah, they're
They
all
have
doing
their-
different things, and they're all
Yeah.
like contributing to this meal that they're all going to eat together. And then maybe Sally set up the stuff, Van is doing the cooking, and Sally's like her assistant, or we can flip that either way. I
Mhm.
think that it's cute for like one person to be in charge and one person to be assisting and kind of running around.
All right, so then maybe like Vans is in charge because they're the ones cooking everything, and then Sally's like, "You cook? Like I did not know this about you."
Yes, I like that. And then I think that that also allows Sally to check in with the like other families, littler kids that are like trying their best at cooking. So she can kind of be flitting around while Van is handling the like
Mm.
not in a real oven, but like the hot things that are happening
Yeah.
there at the center. Okay, cute. I like that. More like stuff that they're doing together. Maybe Sally like retrieves things from the families who are doing their little part, and then like it's passing them off to Van, and then Van is just like some eye contact, some like hand brushing.
We love a hand brush.
So we're just getting more cute moments. Okay,
Yes.
so I think we're 2 nights down. Okay, now what?
And the third night. I feel like the third night people have got to like start being like antsy. Like
Oh, yeah.
we're all stuck here. Maybe that's when like people are starting to like bicker more
Mhm.
with each other. I just want to get out of here. I just want the power to get back on and like be back in our houses
Mhm.
or like whatever. And it's like not possible. It's like now first Vans and Sally were the ones bickering with each other, and then now everyone is bickering with each other, and then they're the
Yeah.
ones who are like, we're at peace. Like it's something off. Like, is this not supposed to be us?
I like that. I think also if we wanted to do the like bang it out thing, we can do that. Like tensions are also rising between Sally and Van, who like
Mhm.
are both people who like want to be in charge of the situation.
Oh, okay.
And like as it builds and builds and builds, and then at some point they like end up in the manager's office. And it's just like
Yeah. Like it starts as an argument and then suddenly they're making out.
right, exactly.
Mhm. Yes.
Yes. So I think that and then like maybe after that they don't have the tension anymore. So then they're chill and calm and able to handle everybody else's
Yes.
bickering and tension.
See, all they needed was to bang it out, and then now they have a clearer head about things. They know what to do.
That's right.
There we go.
Okay, so I want to say that after that night, maybe the storm clears. I think that we've had our like come together moment.
And come together
That's
moment.
right. The roads are starting to clear. The sun is out. It's melting some ice. Maybe some of the families start to go, and then some are still like a little worried. And so there's like one more day of being at the library where you're not like snowed in anymore, but like some people can't leave yet or don't feel
Oh yeah.
comfortable leaving.
Or like they're just I guess sort of like preparing to leave too. Like that's like a whole other thing.
Right, packing up all of their items
Mhm.
and their animals and
Yeah.
of course, what was it? Flopsy? What was the dog?
Snuffles?
Mr.
Mr.
Snuffles
Snuffles?
is gone once again, so we
Yes.
have to find him.
It's like, oh, where did he go?
Mr. Snuffles. So maybe we'll do another like hide and seek situation there. I think that we've been seeing Vans come out of their shell, so maybe we're gonna have Van go and look, and then maybe I feel like we've already gotten together, so I don't need to build that anymore. But I'm like, maybe it ends up in a situation where like Van is stuck somewhere and Sally has to come and save her.
I mean, hey, dangers abound everywhere in a snowstorm.
Damsel in distress.
Yeah.
Maybe even just to like bring back the HVAC just for funsies and because mine is broken. Maybe fans thought they heard the rabbit like in the ceiling, and so they're like, oh no, they're in
Oh no.
the ducts. But Mr. Snuffles is not in the ducts, but we don't know that. And so Van tries to go and save Mr. Snuffles.
And then gets stuck in the vents.
No. Maybe because I think that we have found that Van has some fears that maybe she doesn't bring super forward all the time. So there was the like afraid of the dark thing from the like beginning. And then maybe she's also afraid of heights. And she went up there trying to be brave.
Yeah, because Sally's like bringing that out of her, opening yourself up and like becoming a little more fearless. But now, oh, I'm afraid again. I tried and now
Yeah.
I'm stuck.
I tried, but I fear that I am stuck. I think that Sally's gonna have to get her down, and it'll be like cute. And I don't know, maybe another patron is also assisting.
Maybe like some of their coworkers looking at them like, hey, something changed between you guys? What's going on here? And then it forces them to confront, okay, what are we?
Okay, so then we're saying that like the roads are clear enough that like more people are
Yes.
coming in.
Mm.
More people are coming in. People have been working on packing up to leave. So it's like a normal day. And maybe we didn't have enough cell service to get that Teams message or whatever.
Oh,
being
yes.
Like, okay, everybody back to normal tomorrow. So people are showing up and it's all normal. We're like, oh, thank goodness, there's help. Van is looking for Mr. Snuffles and Sally's gonna save her.
Yeah.
And like more people are coming in and they do notice like a
Yes.
difference.
Like there's something has changed here. They're like, what did I miss?
Yes, I like that. Is there anything else you want to add to your story?
I'm like, I feel like we're almost like right there.
Yeah.
We're like at the cusp. Like we're maybe at like the third act low moment that they need to overcome. But what do they overcome? So it's now there's like this kind of like outside perception of how their relationship has changed, but they haven't necessarily DTR'd define the relationship. So like that's always awkward.
Yes.
So like,
Well, maybe one of them will say something when like a coworker is like, "Hey, what's going on with
there's like,
you
oh,
guys?"
nothing. We're
Right.
just, yeah. And then, or like, we're just friends, or like, we're just whatever. It's like denying like anything happened between them. And then, like, maybe Vans is the one who said that. And then
Right.
Sally overhears and is like hurt.
Right.
Is like, I really like, because especially like, she's like the more like free spirited, like, she was ready to jump in and like go all in with this, right? And then to hear Van say that about her, she's kind of like, so like, did this literally mean nothing to
Right.
you?
Especially after she just saved her from the
Yeah.
ceiling.
Yeah, it's like I've literally just helped you with everything. I thought you were like opening up to me, but maybe I was wrong.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, love that. So what's gonna be Van's big
Like overcoming moment.
groveling?
Like,
How's she
yeah.
gonna grovel?
Oh, she definitely has to grovel.
She has to redeem herself and grovel.
Maybe this time Sally's the one who gets in danger and Vans has to save her for a change.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, you know what? Yes, I like that. I also would say that in Mr. Snuffles' many adventures,
Yeah, he's
throughout-
had many adventures.
he's had many adventures. I think that we should learn that in fact Mr. Snuffles is not a Mister, and he or the rabbit had
Was a Mrs. Snuffles and
Miss-
had babies
Mrs.
somewhere.
baby somewhere.
Mrs. Snuffles! Oh, Mrs. Snuffles, you're a mom!
And so now the library has to find homes for all of these rabbits. And I
Oh.
think that Vance and Sally should adopt one together.
Yes, yes. Maybe like the whole time Sally was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna sneak you home after
Right.
the snowstorm's over or whatever." It was like, forget that kid or whatever.
Yes, and so then Van's like big grand gesture is
Mhm.
that she has the bunny, and maybe it can either be Sally. Okay, minor adjustment. Maybe Sally can't have pets in her apartment. Van's is gonna build an enclosure for the library. Now we have a library pet.
Oh, the rabbit is the library.
The rabbit is the library pet, and Sally and Van both like work together to maintain its habitat and make sure that it's cared for, and it like becomes part of programming.
Mhm.
And then
Oh,
you
that's
could
so
do Read
cute.
to a Bunny. Have you seen like Read to a Therapy Pet?
I think I have.
It's
I
like
think I
for
have.
children to like be more confident reading out loud to someone who's like not judging them. It's just it's like a dog.
Oh, that's cute.
And so you're like struggling to get through words, or you're like still learning how to say things, or maybe you have like some struggle getting words out, and there's no judgment from the dog. 'Cause
Okay.
it's vibing. And so
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that the new rabbit pet is going to be part of that program where like kids can read to it and start building their confidence in reading out
That's
loud.
cute. I love that. I love that. And that's Van's grand gesture because again, Van's is the adult
Mhm.
librarian. Like that's not her area.
Right.
But she's like, for Sally, for you, I'm doing this. Like that's my grand gesture. And Sally's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, but you hate kids. He's like, no.
You hate kids, actually. Yes. Okay. I like that. I feel like that's a good ending. And then like the epilogue would be like the program or something where they're like reading to the animals. And maybe Van is also gonna do like a story time or two ever, just because like the kids enjoyed telling her how to be the monster.
Oh, yeah. Then she's like, look, my monster voice has improved. Yeah.
So I think that that is a very cute ending. How do you feel? Is there anything you want to add to your story, to our story?
I think it's good. I think it's good ended there. We had a lot of adventures with Mrs. Snuffles and the way that they get together and like also like just Vans, like a lot of overcoming like their own stuff and just like now they're happily ever after together. I think that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it too.
Yeah.
So you came out with your debut book. Transitions. Wow. So you came out with your debut book, The Next Best Fling, last year.
I did. I wrote that book.
Like finishing writing a book and then you started querying and you got an agent and all of that. How did that go? Tell us. There's a lot of people who aspire to write. How should they go about it?
Yeah, so I knew that I wanted to traditionally publish just because like there's a lot involved with like indie and like doing everything yourself and I feel like I cannot be trusted with that kind of process. So it was like I need some outside help with that. And funnily enough, I was actually querying a different book while I was writing this one. While I was like, crying in my email inbox from rejections, I was also just having a really fun time just writing this, honestly. There were times when I feel like this book wrote itself. I was just like having a blast, and then I got to the end and was like, oh no, I don't know what to do. So I got through it and started the querying process. It was like, okay, I'm closing out from this other book that nobody wanted, RIP book. Maybe you'll see it one day, who knows? But yeah, so then I was like, okay, I was a little nervous going into querying this one because I was like, I've been in the trenches before. It's like I know like this is probably going to be really hard, and it's like bracing myself, also trying to like keep the love that I have for this book just intact, right? But funnily enough, this one I got interest right away. So like I queried two agents. One of them was like an automatic no. And I was like, okay, that's a little heartbreaking, but whatever, go off. And then the next one was like requesting the full, and then a few weeks later was like asking like to be like on the call, and like that is like usually like a sign of like they want to represent you. And then I found out on the call, yeah, she wanted to represent. So I was like, oh my God, like you're like the second agent that I queried. It was like this has never happened before. I feel like the unicorn, like they talk about like sometimes it's like the unicorn is the one who gets offers right away and like it's like the whole thing. And I'm like, I've never been a unicorn before. So yeah, just like that whole process with traditional publishing like was easy until it wasn't because we got an offer like from the publisher, I think maybe like 5 weeks after we went on submission. And that's another thing too, is like with submission, you either like get an offer right away or you're waiting and waiting weeks and months and like possibly a year before like you even like hear anything. It really like runs the gambit. And I feel like I ended up being like very lucky with like getting like the agent offer and then the offer from the publisher. And then it got pushed back a year. So it was like, okay, you thought this was easy? No, it's not. Here's your first roadblock. And I was like, okay, thanks. That's cool. But I think it ended up being for the better because it gave me a lot of extra time to like write on other projects. So like when this one was on submission, I was actually writing what is now going to become Librarians in Love Book 3. So I actually wrote that draft before I wrote Angela's book. And then after I got this deal and I was kind of like thinking in my head of like what I wanted Angela's book to be and then what eventually I would want book 3 to be. And I ended up writing those two books almost at the same time. It was like kind of like going back and forth. Like this was like my contractually obligated book, and then book 3 was like my fun book that doesn't have a contract yet, so there's no pressure, kind of a thing. And um, I think like for writers who do pursue traditional publishing, there's like your writing process kind of changes because it has to. Because now that you have obligations, it almost like, I don't want to say it like sucks the fun out of writing, but like sometimes I feel like it does. I think it's more so like because trad publishing can be so slow, I think I tried to slow down my writing with it while also having like other projects kind of like on the back burner to just like keep myself entertained. And I'm like, there's no pressure on this project because it hasn't been contracted yet. Maybe I do want a contract in the future once this one is up, but for now, it's just for me. And like, I think that's also just what I love most about writing is like when the book is like just for me. And then when it's finished, I don't have to think about it anymore. And I'm moved on to the next thing that is just for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so and then what would you say is your like number one advice to people who are starting out as writers?
I kind of have two, but the first one that I'm going to say is just keep going. Even if you think everything you've written is crap and you want to backspace and delete everything, been there, by the way. But just keep going. Don't worry about editing or making it look good until you've actually like written it. Because when you're starting out writing, you're really just writing for yourself and no one else. Like I think when you go in writing a book thinking you're going to sell it to a publisher or you're going to indie publish it, you put all of this pressure on it suddenly. And then I think that can make the writing process very tough and very like you just want to have fun for the first draft. Like you're writing for no one but you. This is only to entertain you. No one is going to see it. No one is looking over your shoulder going like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Like this is just purely for you, right? And the second piece of advice is when you decide you want to either indie publish or traditionally publish, whichever path you want to take. This is more so advice on how to take other people's advice because you'll see a lot of it out there, and low key, you'll see a lot of scammers out there, which listen, if anyone's asking you to pay an astronomical amount of money to publish your book, just run away first off. But the advice I want to say is to just take everything that you hear with a grain of salt. If there's something that doesn't resonate with you, just leave it aside. You don't have to, like, if someone is telling you that you're not a good writer, if you're not outlining your book, that's crap because I'm a pantser half the time. I don't know what the end of the book is going to look like when I first start writing it. And that's just my process, right? And everyone has their own different process that works for them. And just because something works for you doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for everyone else, right? So whenever you hear anyone who's like, this is advice on like how to write a book or how to publish a book or how to whatever, just take everything that resonates with you and your process and what you want to do and just leave the rest of it behind.
And then I end all of the episodes by getting a couple of book recommendations. So, if you wouldn't mind, what is your favorite book or series of all time?
Of all time. Wow, okay. The book that I feel like I have reread the most is probably The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. And I've also watched that movie so many times too. I think that's just like my extra content for one of my favorite books that I just love having. But obviously, I love the book more than the movie. And as far as like, I'll say like that's probably like my like most like all time just because like that's the one that I feel like I keep going back to. I think it's also one of the romance books I read that got me back into romance because I was always like I would say like a majority like either fantasy or YA and like I would have like some romance books here and there trickled in. But I think when I read The Hating Game at like the perfect time, it like changed my brain chemistry and I was like, this is all I want to read now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was your last 5-star read?
My last 5-star read was, I think, Marriage and Masti by Nisha Sharma, which she just knows how to write a book. I love that whole series. And what was funny was like I think Dating Dr. Jill was my favorite before I read Marriage and Masti, and now I think Marriage and Masti is my favorite. But I still all of the books in that series, what does she call it? If Shakespeare was an auntie, something like that. Yeah. All of the books in that series are great. I think Marriage and Masti is probably my favorite, my new favorite in that series now, though. There's just something about a marriage of convenience that is gonna hit every single
I
time.
love a marriage of convenience.
Me too.
What is the book that you're most anticipating coming out in 2025?
Oh goodness, there are so many. I want to say the one that's been on my mind the most is probably Danica Nava, her new one. Love is a War Song, which comes out in July, which I'm very happy because I thought it was coming out in August, but it's July. So that's much sooner than I thought.
Great. And then can we give a quick little trailer for your book? So Kiss Me Maybe comes out, remind me again,
On May 6th.
on May 6th. I love this book. Read it, and the whole time I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, this book is about me. It's not, for legal reasons, this book is not about me. But actually it is about me because first of all, I matched the cover.
It's got the
Second of
blue.
all, She works in a library. She's an influencer. She is on the ace spectrum. I love our main character, Angela, so much. And Angela is the best friend from book 1.
Yes.
Next Best Fling. And now you may tell people about your book.
Yes. So in the Next Best Fling, we follow Angela Gutierrez, who is a library assistant, and she accidentally goes viral after an accidental thirst trap. The video that was not it was not supposed to be a thirst trap to her, but when she posted it, the internet decided, yes, this is a thirst trap, and now we love you.
Can I read the first line? It's a line from the very beginning that I am obsessed with. Please hold. When I look back at that video, I don't see the sexualized woman they see. I could understand how people found me cute or pretty or sexy, but what I couldn't understand was the number of men incapable of keeping their disgusting imaginations to themselves. Most of all, I couldn't understand why their overblown sex drives were now my problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that doesn't describe, first of all, being on the A spectrum, and then second of all, just being a woman in general who is perceived as a sex object online, which, like, these men are gross out here. But yeah, so like that's Angela. So after that video goes viral and she kind of uses it as an opportunity to kind of like dip her toes into the dating pool. It's not something that she's ever really done before. She's also never been kissed. And like that's the thing that after that video goes viral and she's kind of realizing some things that she wants for herself is to finally experience a relationship and romantic love that she's kind of been missing out on this entire time. Right? So she comes up with the idea for the scavenger hunt to have people online who like maybe like are in the area kind of compete to be her first kiss. Yeah, which is very chaotic, very on brand for her, to be honest. But the other thing is she has had an unrequited crush on the bartender of the bar that she frequents, whose name is Crystal, and she kind of enlists her to help her kind of like navigate the scavenger hunt and what's going to go on. But maybe they fall in love with each other instead. Mm-hmm. And maybe Crystal is a little bit anti-love or like anti-relationship, doesn't really think that she's capable of those sort of things. And then maybe she learns that she actually is with the right person, Angela.
Everything but kiss.
Yes, yes. We love a no kissing rule here.
So Crystal is bisexual, and then Angela is an asexual lesbian who had her gay awakening with Sophia Bush, specifically One Tree Hill Sophia Bush, and I couldn't relate more.
Sophia Bush, hello. Just everything.
Hello,
everything
Sophia. Hello, Sophia.
Yes.
Okay, great. That was If It Was a Book. You can watch video episodes on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you liked what you heard, you can follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok at If It Was a Book, if TikTok is still around. YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Wicked Reads, and that is also where all of the video episodes are. And then, Gabby, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram primarily at Gabby Writes a Lot. I also have a newsletter on Substack, which is called Gabbyville. And I also have a TikTok, but that's mostly just for like fun little videos. I haven't posted in like 6 months or something.
That's probably. Okay. That's okay. Who knows if it'll even be around by the time this.
True. Oh God.
Could say.